Headline inflation rises in January 2023 to 21.82%, higher than 21.34% in December 2022. Supreme Court adjourns suit on monetary policy between some state governments and federal government to Wednesday, 22nd February 2023. Central Bank has waived POS charges to ease the pressure on cash demand and will begin arresting agents charging exorbitant rates, says Godwin Emefiele. And oil prices drop as U.S. inventories jump fuels demand worries. This is Business Express on a network service of the NTA, and we are reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. It's time to talk business. We'll start by telling you that Nigeria's headline inflation rate for January 2023 has increased to 21.82%, compared to December 2022 headline inflation, which was 21.34%. Data released by the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the January 2023 inflation rate showed an increase of 0.47 percentage points when compared to December 2022 inflation rate. The headline inflation had dropped for the first time in 11 months to 21.34% in December 2022 compared to 21.47% in previous month. On a year-on-year basis, the headline inflation rate was 6.22 percentage points higher compared to a rate recorded in January 2022, which was 15.60%. The increase in the headline index was largely attributed to the rise in prices of bread and cereal, actual and imputed rent, potatoes, yam, and tubers, vegetables, and meat. In the analysis of the state's profiles, the all-item index for January 2023 on a year-on-year basis was highest in Bauchi, Ondo, Anambra, while Jigawa, Borno, and Sokoto recorded the slowest rise in headline year-on-year inflation. And on a month-to-month basis, however, January 2023 recorded the highest increases in Lagos, Taraba, Ondo, while Yobe, Jigawa, and Oyo recorded the slowest rise on month-on-month inflation. And now to monetary matters. The Supreme Court adjourned suit on monetary policy between some state government and federal government to Wednesday, 22nd February 2023. The court says that the interim order on the extension of old Naira notes has legal tender beyond 10th February 2023 to continue. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria says there is no need to further extend the February 10, 2023 deadline for the redesigned 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes, as modalities have been put in place to adequately punish or furnish those subverting the process. Governor of the Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, who addressed members of the diplomatic community in Abuja, say Nigeria desires to have a seamless cashless process like it's obtained in their countries and needs their support. Leah Katsumba today has a report.
There has been a raging controversy since the commencement of the Naira redesign policy. Some governors had approached the Supreme Court on the matter, in which the Apex Court placed a hold on the process till 15th February 2023. This gathering of diplomats, at the instance of the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN, is to intimate them on the process and seek their support. While acknowledging the suffering of Nigerians, Governor Godwin Emefiele observed that gains of the effective implementation of the policy outweighs the pains that could scrap 4% of the nation's inflation numbers.
This is achievable as data from our market sources indicate that prices of grains and key staples around Suleja, Lambata markets, for instance, have generally been on the downward trend since the beginning of this policy. The price of soybeans has dropped from 30,000 to 22,000, maize from 18 to 16,000, and the bull from 400,000 to 330,000.
He said the financial system is adequately able to address the concerns being faced in the cashless process, and those subverting it will face the consequences of their actions.
We're trying to make things good for our country. We cannot allow even some of our countrymen who want to get involved in illegal and illicit kind of businesses to truncate our efforts and in making the country a good place. They will be arrested. We've seen videos of people who are also stamping money on people in parties, and we have said it is illegal.
The Apex Bank maintained that the amount being recalled is not the same that will be plowed back, as no one should hold large volumes of cash outside the banking system. The meeting then went behind closed doors, and eventually they filed out, and no one spoke to the press afterwards. In Abuja, Leah Katungbaba today.
A more than 120-page report on mining governance, market for high-value minerals, and revenue potential of Nigeria's mining sector has been released by the Nigeria Economic Summit Group in collaboration with Ford Foundation. Nigeria's mining sector governance landscape and prospects, a diagnostic report examines the strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities for improvement of Nigeria's mining sector. Just as stakeholders say, it's time to walk the talk.
We hope that with the investments of the Federation to the sector, from the 30 billion that was given by the President back in 2016, and then the portion of the Natural Resources Development Fund that goes to Solid Minerals Development Fund, it's about time that this sector shows some serious activity.
And the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, is assisting Nigeria to identify ways of boosting foreign exchange through production and export of shea butter. The UNDP has also set aside $50,000 to help in the fight against incessant felling of shea butter trees.
Incessant felling of economic trees for energy has become a major concern not only to environmentalists but also economists as well. Shea nut is among the trees attracting firewood mongers. Though Nigeria is the largest producer of shea nuts, the output is dropping annually.
We'll have the
This, therefore, is why the United Nations is working with non-governmental organizations to help farmers scale up production.
We are supporting this project with $50,000 US, which is part of our regular funding process, and we work through NGOs, which SIGF is one of the NGOs, environmental NGOs in Nigeria, and so we work through them to give them funding to address environmental issues.
Women participating in shea butter processing will be trained on global standard of production as well as environmental protection.
We're training the women on wild picking of shea nuts, thereby trying to get international certification, which is called wild certification in the wild for shea nuts. We're currently working with EcoCert.
Under this project, there is also a means. There is a process of replacing the charcoal with gas. The gas cylinders and the gas cookers were distributed to these women so that they will be using it for cooking instead of using the firewood.
The global shea butter market was valued at $700 million as at 2021 and estimated to reach $2,400 million by 2030. Musa Baba Aliyu.
And now the focus of the program today is youth and agriculture. How can the country tap into the potential of youth to develop agriculture and agribusiness ecosystem? Joining me on the conversation is the President, Nigeria Young Farmers Network, Dr. Abubakar Bame Musa. Doctor, you're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much.
Doctor, you're not looking like a farmer.
Of course, I'm a real farmer.
You look like a politician.
No.
Well, let's get to the meat of the matter.
Okay.
Aging population of farmers, getting younger people attracted to farming to replace this aging population is an ongoing conversation. How do we now attract the younger generation to actually see the potential in farming, in agriculture?
Yeah, definitely if you look at the population of Nigeria is so alarming. If you look at 70% of the population are youths. Out of 70%, if you look at 40 to 50% of these youths from rural area, definitely. And basically, most of them are still young, coming up people without something good doing. Like if you say they are not really, all are not farmers, but most of them, everybody can be into a farming sector, definitely. So basically, if you look at this, the population is very huge. That's the reason we, in Nigerian young farmers, we are trying to identify all these youth to show them why would they even coming into agriculture. Because if you say the farmer, they were thinking of going to the farm with a hoe because it's a dirty business. They're not
Okay, but sorry to cut you. That's what it's actually happening. If you look at the influx of people from rural communities to township areas or cities like Abuja, take for instance, you get on a bike and you ask the rider, where are you from? He'll tell you, I'm from this part of the country, I'm from that part of the country. What are you doing here? He'll tell you his family is back there. He goes back home during farming season. Some are getting this cycling business much more lucrative in the city centers, that even during the farming season, they don't go back home because of what you just mentioned. They see it as using the hoe and cutlass, the primitive ways of farming. How are we bringing in technology? How are we expanding this interest as well as using mechanized agriculture to get better yield?
That's the reason we have to identify our local content technology. You can't just use a foreign technology while we are here still dribbling to see how we can get our local content. We know our problems, we have to solve our problems. Basically, if you look at our universities, Polytechnic, College of Agrics, we have a lot of young talented people that are fabricating all these water pump machine, solar dryers, tillagers, tractors, and all
even plows.
Even plows as well. So it's something that the government have to come and look into these young people that are coming up. Invest in the value chain. Invest in these people. At least you can eradicate and show more competent, and you show seriousness of what they were doing. Let's say, for example, I have someone from our network from Sokoto that come up with a water pump machine, a solar water pump machine. And as I'm telling you right now, all his constituency, that's what they're using for farming, for dry season farming of onions and tomatoes and a pepper. So if this kind of someone can come up, government invest in him, at least we may have a factory where 100 young people can come into it, can come and work together with him. You have automatically create job opportunity to these people. And secondly, we can even see the way to stop importing this water pump machine here.
We use local technology.
Yeah, we use our local technology, we use our local content, rather than to go to China, Korea to be importing their technology here down to Nigeria. Come up, let's come and see what these youth have. They are very talented. The problem is they were left behind.
Are you talented?
Of course.
What attracted you to agriculture?
Basically, I look at a huge opportunity in agriculture. I am a software engineer by profession, but I have to look at, if you look at the way things are, you have to inject your ideas into an agricultural sector, because we have more than 50 million hectares we are still virgin. Let's say, for example, each hectare is dedicated for a young person with an economic production of less than 350,000. How much is the output of it? So basically, we have to bring in technology. That's the reason Ukraine and Russia having crisis is affecting someone here in our locality that cannot afford to buy bread because of wheat. So these are the reasons young people have to come on board, show their technology ideas, bring an innovative and creative idea to solve. It's a very big problem that we youths have to come in and bring the solution to it.
I've attended workshops, seminars, I call them talk shops, where this thing you're saying is not new. We've brought it. It's a conversation that is ongoing.
Of course.
We keep hearing this. Yes, most times we say, okay, government needs to do this, government needs to do that. Yes, you're a private network. What's the contribution of the private sector in this?
That's what we are advocating at the moment. If you look at it, we always said we need PPP, public-private partnership. Because if you look at agriculture in the whole world, private sector driving that agriculture sectors, not government, if you want results. But here in Nigeria, government advance still driving agricultural sector. Pass policies for us, regulate the system, and give us the mechanism and support to see how private sector will turn agriculture into massive stuff in Nigeria. Let's take an example. As in a private sector, you know the potential, you know the needs of that specific products you are looking for. You invest your money. Let's say, for example, you own a company and you are into cosmetics or pharmaceutical industry. There is highly demands of some products, farm products from you. You can cough in your money, identify the real farmers, invest in their production, off-take from them, and you have to make sure this thing has to be there because you are looking at the result. You are not after failure. So definitely if we can allow private sector to drive in agriculture, it will go far, far better than what we are expecting.
Okay. Most times we talk about some farmers, we tell even those who are into mechanized farming, though you mentioned if you're going into agriculture, a particular commodity, you need to know how attractive is that commodity. Is it going to bring food to your table? Is it going to go beyond providing food for your table? Are you going to produce in mass? Do you have the ready market? In your network, are you looking beyond just attracting young people into farming? Are you looking at the market opportunities? Are you also looking at self-sufficiency of particular commodities? Then beyond self-sufficiency in country, are you looking at export? In terms of exports, where is the place of capacity building?
Yeah, definitely is the complete value chain. We identify these young people and we see what they specialize on the complete value chain. It's either production, processing, transportation, marketing, and export of it. So if you look at it, we have to look at all this value chain. We have to see where do we have the problem. We have to identify the problems towards that. If you come to export, you find out, the government have tried last year. They have banned foreigners from going to the market and buying produce from the market, which is a very good one. Before you go to the market and be dragging someone from China, Indonesia, of course, from the farm. So basically what is showing that is something that we need to even show this our smallholder farmers at the grassroots. They don't even understand the value of that export itself. That's the reason if you introduce any chemical fertilizer to them or any chemical herbicide they use in their farm, they are not looking at the potential rules and regulation of it. Because we know EU have banned some other food items from Nigeria because of high concentration of chemicals. So these are kind of things you need to sit down with these people, create more capacity building training to them, to even understand the reason to beyond consumption. They have to look at the export level of it.
Back in the days, we used to have agri-extension officers. UNDP, states, there's a federal government wing, there's also a state government wing. You find out one extension officer is allocated to possibly a household or like 10 farmers, a cluster of farmers. They get to educate them on these pesticides, what to use, what not to use, the proper yield, what square meter. What has gone wrong with that? And as a private sector, what are you doing to augment government efforts towards that?
Yeah, definitely this is something we have to look at technology this way. We don't have to say that every time we need an extension workers to be physical with them. That's as my network, we are looking to way to create a close user group unit, CSG, in a partnership with telecommunication industries, so that these people can get them on board, in the sense that we can pass a message across to them with their languages where they can understand. They can reach out to us directly through that aspect. Maybe if they have a question or something, because you can't say we have maybe 20 million farmers, then you said you have to sell them an extension workers, because it's very huge. But at this time around, we can get them through that telecommunication industry, which we are working towards that. Even when it comes to this cashless policy, that's the reason we are looking at. If you look at food crash because of this flow income of cash and all these things, wanted to come and see how we can work with these young farmers that are coming up to be using their SIM card as their account number, mobile money, where they can sign and transfer money easy to ease their commodities exchange and all these things. That's what we are looking to as well towards that aspect.
Yes, software engineer. I am talking about the days of extension workers in some of these places is possibly outgone because of what technology affords us to do today. I want to ask, that farmer in the rural area, how much of access does he have to internet? Or are you using USSD, or they have to use smartphones?
Yeah, we are looking at USSD, not only in the smartphones, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah,
and you're developing a software that's going to align to that.
Of course, we are working towards that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So moving into the future, with these plans that you have, do you see more young people coming into agriculture? What is the value of it?
Yeah, of course, they are coming into agriculture because if you look at the complete value chain, young people are fabricating, coming with innovative ideas to see how people can come into agriculture. And we used to show them the market opportunity of it here in Nigeria and beyond Nigeria. Because if you look at the way, that's why I call private sector have to come into agriculture, definitely, because we wanted to get a result towards that. Because most of our people are not even aware of the value of the commodities they are farming. Mostly we have to know the value of that commodity they are farming into. So we need private sector to come in and invest more. We are looking at towards signing a lot of deals with other private sectors. We had to have a very good, unique identification numbers to all our farmers at the rural area, tied to identify crops like rice, maize, and we have carrots, we have shea butter and other things. So
shea butter is also a big market.
Of course, yeah,
for
it's a big market, and not even shea butter. you know dates, Debino.
Dates,
yeah. If you look at the market of dates, it's very crazy in Nigeria. Almost 70% of dates we consume here in Nigeria were imported, sorry, to Nigeria, but through Algeria or Niger. So
they are bigger. The dates coming from Algeria, Saudi Arabia, other parts of the country, Egypt. The yield is bigger. It's more sweeter.
We have a lot of.
Let's not go into such details. We'll get to talk more of that.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Abubakar.
Thank you very much.
Bamai, software engineer into agriculture. Thank you so very much for sharing your thoughts with us at this time.
You're always welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Moving on, let's see the prices of commodities. Talking about the NGX, which is a midweek trading on Nigeria's equities market. It ended actually positive. The all-share index advanced to 54,507.66 points from 54,496.31 billion in the previous session. Market capitalization also rose to 29.68 trillion naira. At the close of trade, 134.45 million shares were traded by investors in 2,905 deals, valued at 4.35 billion naira. Well, let's take a trip to the global market.
Welcome to the global market review. Internationally, market responded to the hotter than expected U.S. Consumer Price Index CPI data on Wednesday. However, European markets were mixed after the pan-European stock 600 touched a one-year high Tuesday. DAX topped 0.48%, FTSE 0.02%, and CAC 40 of France also appreciated 0.99%. Asia markets traded lower after the release of U.S. inflation data that further raised expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve will continue to raise interest rates to curb inflation. The Hong Kong Hang Seng Index dipped 0.39% at 3,280.49. The Shanghai Composite depreciated 1.43% at 20,812.17, and the Nikkei also depreciated at 0.37% across 27,501.86. U.S. stock futures slipped Wednesday following the release of January's more than anticipated consumer price index. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 80 points, S&P 500 0.37%, and Nasdaq Composite also depreciated 0.48%. While markets in Africa traded mostly positive, with South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40, Ghana and Namibia's overall index posting gains, while Tunisia's Tunidex dipped 0.30% across 8,137.35 basis points. That's the global market review. I am Bosede Abel.
Thank you, Boss today, and that wraps Business Express for today. Remember to keep in touch with us. Do send in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us via our various social media platforms. Business Express returns Thursday at 9:30 a.m.